convince people that that's not me. But I was a really, really shy kid. I mean, I had I just wasn't like any of the other kids growing up. And I was from a town of 650 people. I had a very, very high pitched voice, and I loved singing, and I loved doing all of that. But when it came to acting, I just was too nervous, and I was really shy. And so my brother was just a ham and like the most lovable person. And I was always the kid pouting in pictures and always like hiding from cameras. But then whenever puberty hit me like a truck, I was like, I really think that the fashion industry was so alluring to me because I started falling in love with like the art of like photographers. And, I began obsessing over supermodels like Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell. And I was obsessed. And so then I was like, I want to do that. Then by conning my way into the industry, by lying, saying I was 6 feet tall when I was actually 5'7", I got a modeling contract from the biggest agency in New York. And then they flew me out. I had to take my shoes off, which had lifts 4 inches in the back. And then they said, if you don't book this week, you are flying back home. And then I booked Abercrombie that week. And so, yeah, I've conned my way into this industry. So it was definitely I got to pull from a little bit of that and put it into the character. So, but acting was eventually what I fell in love with. And just became something that I was luckily able to dive into. So.
And I did read your book, Miss Memory Lane. So.
Thank you. They're everywhere. They're all over my house. It's like, I can't.
Listen, they should be everywhere. If I wrote a book, it would be all over my house too.
I can't even get my friends to read it. I'm like, so what can you, like, me trying to like force feed it to people? But thank you for reading it. I really appreciate that.
And I've got some stuff to say about it soon. And I get it. I ask my friends to listen to even one episode of this podcast, which is 5 days a week, and they can't even listen to one episode. And I'm like, you can't just download and just listen, like keep it on in the background. So I totally understand.
But you can send me 10 TikToks an hour,
right,
and want me to watch that. And I just basically told my friends, I'm like, I'm not speaking to you until you read my book.
Seriously.
I worked my ass off writing this book, 3.5 years, and it's my soul. Read it.
You were very open and honest and forthcoming in this book. I mean, staying on your career just for a second, and I do want to talk about the book. You had so many parts and so many, like of our favorite shows, but, Teen Wolf really was the, breakout role that we all got to know you in. What was that experience like for you other than, the end? And I know, you left over, circumstances, but like, what was that like just when you were working on that show?
It was just like, it was lightning in a bottle. I think going into it, MTV had never done a scripted show before. Everyone, once the news got broke that they were going to be making a reboot of Teen Wolf, everyone was like, this is gonna bomb. And then making it was just this experience that I remember like it was yesterday. It was like one of the most special moments of my life. It was a college experience for all of us, but I almost feel like it was kind of like the cast of Friends, how they are. We bonded more than anyone that I've ever worked with and are now family. And so now getting to do that with the movie and come back is now we're all like, well, I'm 35, I'm in my mid 30s. I'm not a teen anymore. To come back and have that lived experience that we all have together was just so funny, because sometimes we just like couldn't even get our takes because we were laughing. And I'm like, I have to be serious. Like, I'm not joking. So it was just such a beautiful experience to be a part of the Teen Wolf Tumblr era. So.
And that show really was, right, like MTV never made a scripted show, and it really was ahead of its time. And right, it kind of started as this like laughable joke of like, what is this Michael J. Fox movie? And then, you look at like the CW and like Supernatural and Vampire Diaries and just so many things, Charmed, that kind of came at that same time right after. It really was ahead of its time.
Gosh, it was so wild. And now that it's been over 10 years since we did it, that is crazy to me. It feels like we just finished it, and now there's a whole other generation that basically are the reason why we made this movie, because of TikTok. So.
Right. How is the new movie should be out soon. I think October, they say.
Everyone is saying, I don't know. I think that's a rumor, but I think hopefully we're going to New York Comic Con in 2 days. So they better tell us, because people have been asking me, and I'm like, there's 5 different months that I've been told. So I saw this latest possible date, and I was like, unless that, I don't know if it's official, but who knows? Hopefully.
Does it ever shock you, like the fandom of that show? Like New York Comic Con is huge. Like I'm sure you know, like other cons, like it's still people just still hang on to like those characters, and it's just
It is something that is going into things like that. And I've been able to be a part of these shows that have gotten big followings, like the fandom shows, and to it's so odd. It's still, I mean, every day it's just people Jackson, saying my character name, or it's so odd that these characters, not odd, it's just really special that these characters have had such an impact on people's lives, and that now we get to bring them back with a little reboot. So yeah, it's so weird. I can't believe that I'm doing this. Now I'm sitting here in my house, like doing interviews. This is still, I still literally feel like that kid from Kansas who's kind of, I don't know. I'm grateful.
like Swindler Seduction, Teen Wolf movie. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
You were really open in your book, this memory lane, about like why you left, and just ultimately, it came down to like, they weren't paying you what you thought you were worth. And I know there were circumstances surrounding that. Like you still hear all these stories, like, like you look at like a Nev Campbell, like with Scream, like she's not going to be in the new Scream because of like contract. And, you look at like it, yeah, like she says, basically it's Scream, pay me what I'm worth, and she's not doing it. I mean, how could you have Scream without, Sidney Prescott? I mean, where do you think Hollywood is with these issues now? Like they seem to keep just, you look at like something like a Scream, even like an Ellen Pompeo, I just used an example, like she was very outspoken about like being Grey's Anatomy.
Oh.
She got what she wanted, but I mean, she's the title character. She should, it just seems like these issues still keep, I'm just curious what your take on it all is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really the recurring theme, since it seems to be a lot more focused on women. I mean, it's mostly like you'll hear one story about an actress who's not going back, but then it becomes more about people talking about how she's a diva, or people are being divas, instead of what it should be about, which is no, they're the reason this film is successful. And so I think that is something that still needs to change. And it's also just I think with the way things go, I think it can feel like a very disposable industry, especially as people age, and especially as more people are coming up. But I think it's important to make people feel respected, and to treat people equally. If you aren't going to pay them more, you have to treat them equally, which is something I still can't get anyone to do, is to pay me the same as everybody else, which is all in the book. I say one line about Teen Wolf, one line about Arrow. And so it's something that I think needs to change. But yeah, it's definitely the book. In